Good morning, baseball way of lifers. How we all doing? Everyone have a good weekend. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the summer. Well, if you haven't been enjoying the Utopian Baseball Universe, here's the man to tell you how to enjoy it. And if you haven't heard about it, here's the man to tell you all about it. Now, I just found out about the Utopian Baseball Universe before their current season started this year, and it's quite a concept, something you've never seen before. And just when you think you've seen everything baseball, here comes the Utopian Baseball Universe into my life. And today we have Joey Buchholz, the man, the brain, the genius behind Utopian Baseball Universe. And Joey, can you just give us a brief introduction into the Utopian Baseball Universe?
Absolutely, and thanks for having me on the show, Stan. So the concept of the Utopian Baseball Universe actually started in 2014. I was thinking of all the things I love about baseball, and then I made a list of some of the things that I wasn't crazy about, and I wanted to create kind of an alternate reality that I could, maybe just play out in my head. And the first thing I did was create a schedule that just sat on my desktop for about 6 years. And then in December of 2019, I decided I was going to do something with this. So I created a very small Facebook group, like 11 people. I showed them the schedule. I built these rosters and just to let everyone know, the Utopian Baseball Universe is a 32 team. It's almost like a fantasy league. It's not fantasy baseball, but I created a 32 team league. To get to 32, I brought back the Montreal Expos. I promoted the Durham Bulls to be a 32nd team. And then I loaded each roster with all the all-time greats, a lot of my favorite players growing up, even players from baseball cards that I collected, and then a lot of today's superstars. And basically what I do, Stan, is I simulate an entire season of action. I do a 156 game schedule. There's 4 divisions of 8, geographical, north, south, east, west. But what makes it unique is that we don't use a computer to simulate what happens. Because a lot of times when you do that, Stan, you're going to have the Yankees win every year, or you're going to have the Cardinals be dominant. The Red Sox are going to be good. The Dodgers are going to be good. What I do, and we're going to actually simulate a game today on the show, is I take the history of baseball, going back to the site I use has box scores that go back to like 1901, and I pull a date randomly. And today we're going to use your birth date, July 25th, 1961. And I pull a date, and then I take my schedule, and I take those results, and I hit shuffle. And then whatever result lands on each game, I map into a spreadsheet, and then we basically tell a daily story. So why don't we'll do a game at the end of the show. We'll actually do the Mets game since we're both Mets fans. But again, this was supposed to be something very small for a handful of friends. It was 11 people when we launched in March of 2020. By the end of the year, I think we had about 61 people. Word of mouth got out. Some people that I had never met had joined. And then in the off season, I think we grew to about 83 people. And then it just blew up in February, thanks to people like you, Rick Lenenberg, Sal Tartaglia. I think in February it grew from 80 to 450 people, and then in March it grew from 450 to 800. We just hit 1,000 this past weekend. So people are, I think, liking the concept. We do 1 game a day where we simulate it on Xbox using RBI Baseball 21. We simulate 1 Mets game a month using a dice game that John Boyd created. We have a daily talk show called the Utopian Cafe, which airs on Facebook and YouTube Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. We've got a trivia tournament. We've got custom baseball cards. I've got a talk show debuting in December called Having a Catch. I really just am trying to create a inclusive baseball community where we can talk about the game we love and maybe get lost in something that's fictional that can feed our imaginations a little bit.
Okay, now it's two leagues like American National, correct?
So the universe is one universe. So I don't have an American or a national.
Okay.
So, for example, the East Division in the universe is Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, Phillies, Blue Jays, Expos, Nationals, Orioles. In the North, I have Milwaukee, Minnesota, both Chicago teams, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Detroit, Pittsburgh. In the West, I have Angels, Dodgers, Giants, A's, Diamondbacks, Rockies, Mariners, Padres. And in the South Division, we have Atlanta, Durham, Texas, Houston, Tampa Bay, Miami, Kansas City, and St. Louis. The hardest part of that structuring is that I had to separate the Cardinals and Cubs to make it geographically work. So they only play each other 3 games a year. The way my schedule works is everyone plays 12 division games and then plays every other team 3 times. So as a fan, as a Mets fan, for example, if you're a Mets fan but you love Mike Trout is coming to Citi Field every other season. And then in the alternate seasons, the Mets are going to Anaheim for a 3-game series. There are some things about the universe that are unique to the universe. Number one, there's no designated hitter. I've never liked the DH, and I don't use it in our simulations. Number 2 is that there's no 2 or 4-game series. Every series is 3 games, and the series help determine home field in the postseason. So if the Mets and Brewers played each other in the regular season, whoever wins that series in the regular season would get home field if they were to meet in the playoffs. Our playoff format is 12 teams. In each division, there's a wild card game within the division. So 3rd place goes to 2nd place. And then the winner goes to the regular season division winner in a best of 5. So right now, in the East, the Blue Jays have a 7-game lead on the Red Sox and an 8-game lead on the Phillies. Those would be the 3 teams in the East. In the North, we have Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. In the West right now, it's San Diego, San Francisco, and Oakland. And in the South, we have Atlanta, Tampa Bay, and St. Louis. This year's playoffs is going to be East versus South on one side of the bracket, North versus West, and then the winners for the championship come this October.
Okay, so how did you determine the 156-game schedule? They just worked out with the 12 and the 3 working out that way?
It was almost perfect math because with 4 divisions of 8, if you play 12 division games, that ends up being whatever 12 times 7 is, 84. And then, so there's 24 other teams times 3 is 72. So that came to 156. Making the schedule, the first schedule I made, Stan, took me over a year.
Wow.
Because what happened was, I got it balanced, but then, I had, 78 games at home, 78 on the road, but then I'd look at the schedule and I'd see, the Mets played 21 straight at home. I got to fix this. So then I'd have to move this. And then I'd go, by moving this, now they have a 24-game road trip. So that's what took a long time. After I figured out how to do it and kind of manipulate it a little bit, the schedule for this season only took me about 2 weeks to make. And 2022 and 2023 schedules are already in the can and we'll be unveiling 2022 in the off season. This is going to go. This is going to go on as long as my hands and my mind will allow me to do it.
Sounds like it's hard work, but it sounds like it's fun work. Now, when you pick a given day out of the baseball season, like you said, you're going to pick my birthday, which was ancient July 25th, 1961. How do you work it out so every team, because I know back then there were only 20 teams. Now, I'm not sure how many teams are going to be playing on this day for you.
Yeah.
But how do you work it out so everyone fits that given day you choose in history?
So that's a great question. So as it stands, your birth date, July 25th, 1961, there were 10 games on that day. And there's 8 games on my schedule today. So only eight of these games will be used. So normally what I do, Stan, is I'll hit shuffle, and then I'll assign a number to each of my games. So like today on the schedule, game 1 is Mets Orioles. Game 2 is Yankees Nationals. Game 3 is Brewers Reds. Game 4 is Twins Indians. Then I have Seattle Rockies, Padres Diamondbacks, Durham Kansas City, Atlanta St. Louis. Then when I hit shuffle in the generator, it's going to assign one of those games from 1961 to my game. And so at the end of the show, we'll basically do that. I'm going to have you choose a number, and then that's going to determine where everything maps. So if I don't have enough games, what I do is I just use the next day. So that actually happened yesterday. We used a friend's birthday. He was born in August of 76, August 28th, 76. I didn't have enough, so I used the 29th. I think between the 2 days, it had 18 games. I needed 16, so we just left off 2. It's a lot of fun doing it that way because I don't know what's happening. I find out maybe 2 hours before you guys do. There's another thing that I've been doing too once a week, which I think is a whole lot of fun too, is it gives me a creative outlet to create kind of my own story without deciding who wins. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, I've got 16 games, and then I'll create 16 results and then hit shuffle and roll dice to see who gets the win. So for example, I think I did that about 3 days ago. I said, we're going to see a complete game 3-hit shutout, 11 strikeouts in a game. We're going to see a guy hit 3 homers. We're going to see a guy hit a walk-off double. And then I hit shuffle so that it mapped the results. And then I rolled dice. And if it was odd, the road team won. If it was even, the home team won. I actually did that on July 4th, Stan. I created all the results, and I wrote a no-hitter into the storyline, and I didn't know who was going to get that no-hitter until I rolled the dice and hit shuffle, and it ended up being Bryn Smith no-hitting the Rockies. So it was like the least.
Was that in Colorado?
I think, and it was in Colorado, I believe, too. And this is not a knock on Bryn Smith, but we had, like, on that day, it could have been Noah Syndergaard, it could have been Brandon Woodruff. It was all the number 4 starters for the respective teams, and I have a lot of fun with that because, again, I think a lot of people think I'm just creating the winners and losers, like, oh, I'm going to have this team win it all. If I would do that, the Mets would not be in 7th place right now. The Brewers are in 8th place. I'm wearing a Brewers shirt. It's completely random. The only real control I have is I do simulate 1 game a day on Xbox, and I flip a coin to see who I control, but I only win about 52% of those games. So it's, I do a Mets game about once a week on that, and I'm like 4-7 as the Mets. So again, if I was rigging this, the Mets and Brewers would be at the top. But it's really interesting. The Braves, by the way, won it all in 2020, and they're doing very well this year as well.
Well, that's the other thing. Do you find that the statistical performances of players at the end of the year more or less coincide with the leaders of given leagues, or like the home run leaders close in total to what the average home run leader would be? Do you see like ERAs similar to ERAs that you would see for leaders, or do you see a wide variety all over the place?
There's a good variety. I'm going to give you some examples. Now, coincidentally, last year's home run champion was Henry Aaron. He had 38 home runs. The way the stats are determined is basically when I map those results, so I'm looking, and again, we'll get to this here in a minute. I'm looking at a game that we potentially could use for today that was a 12-0 shutout by the home team. Let's say we go into that box score, and I see that the catcher for that team hit 2 home runs. So whichever game that maps into, the catcher is going to get credited for 2 home runs. And I make lineups daily. That's the first thing I do, Utopian Baseball Universe related in the morning, is I create all the lineups. That takes me about 20 minutes every morning, so that I'm not just assigning it to, again, my favorites or anything. But I'll say, okay, this guy's playing catcher today for the Mets. This guy's playing short. And then when I look into the box scores, I can say, oh, hey, Piazza hit 2 homers. Cool. The thing you got to keep in mind is that these are every single roster. I mean, we have all the great, obviously your Ted Williams, your Sandy Koufax, your Willie Mays. Then we've got all my favorite players from childhood. So Gorman Thomas, Rob Deere, Howard Johnson, Bobby Thigpen, Rob Dibble, and then all the great players from today. So you're going to see Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger, Francisco Lindor, Max Scherzer. It's a mix of everyone. I've also added every single Negro League Hall of Famer, plus Fleet Walker, plus Buck O'Neil. Every team has at least one. The Mets are represented by Turkey Stearns, and he's actually 5th in batting average right now. Rube Foster threw a no-hitter for Colorado. Smokey Joe Williams is like 12-3 for the Pirates. It's just a lot of fun. Again, a lot of people say, well, it's like fantasy baseball. It's not, because we're not competing against each other. I'm just using the past to tell an alternative story that I think people are really enjoying. I have, and I won't name names in case they're embarrassed by this, but I have people text me every day saying, do you think we're going to win tonight? And I love that, because it's the way we determine those results is completely random, but they get so into it. Or, hey, I see earlier this year, I had a young Cardinals fan say, I saw Wainwright threw a no-hitter. Tell me about that. So that night I actually wrote a narrative saying what Adam Wainwright did against the Red Sox in late March. It was game 4 of the season. So I love that people understand that it's fiction, but just like any great movie or great television show, documentary, people get lost in it. They suspend reality for a bit, and I think they're having fun with it.
Oh, that's great. Well, the one thing I do like about what you do is you're very imaginative. You have your TBS game of the day. You have your NBC game of the week with Tony Kubek and Kurt Gowdy doing it. That's the kind of thing I like, because it conjures so many memories that you start thinking about, wow, this is the perfect universe, because you have like the NBC game of the week from the 60s. You'll have A-Rod and Masmez Jurgen covering the Sunday night ESPN game. So that gives it a good feel, like, it's being broadcast, it's real, it's out there. And I think that's one of the things I appreciate is you just don't spit out the result. You give it your own imaginative feel and everything. So I really do appreciate that when you do that. It's very entertaining, to be honest with you, and it makes the experience more enjoyable.
I really do try to present these results as if they're happening in real life. So, like, I try not to wink and say, like, yeah, okay, yeah, that really happened. We had, so this is actually a great example. Last year, the number generator pulled the date from 1984. Do you remember the Ryan Sandberg game where he hit like a homer in the 9th and hit a homer in the 11th? Willie McGee hit a cycle for the Cardinals. I pulled that date from history. So I knew I was going to be using that game, and I hit shuffle and it landed on the Cubs. So the Cubs were playing the Tigers that day. So it ended up being Ryan Sandberg doing that. But the cycle was credited to Ty Cobb instead of Willie McGee, because he was the center fielder that day for the Tigers in the universe. So things like that I just think are great, because it does remind, like, a Cubs fan is going to be reminded of that day. They're going to see that instantly and go, wow, that's really cool. I think that happened with, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the Seaver game where he struck out 10 in a row
Mm-hmm.
and he ended up with like 19, I think that was used, but I forget who got credit for that. I think it might have been Steve. I'll have to double check, but as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, wow, this is going to be really cool. Let's see who gets credit for this. I just love the idea, like you could close your eyes, take any team. We'll use the Mets because we're Mets fans. Just imagine any night going to Citi Field or Shea Stadium and seeing Pete Alonso at first, Jeff McNeil at second, Jose Reyes at short, Howard Johnson at third. You got Dykstra in center, Strawberry in right, Turkey Stearns playing left field, Mike Piazza, and then your rotation of Seaver, DeGrom, Gooden, Syndergaard, and Kuzman. That'd be so much fun to like watch that. For the Brewers, I live 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Imagining a team of Prince Fielder at first, Gorman Thomas in center, Paul Molitor at third, Robin Yount in his prime at short, Brandon Woodruff pitching every fifth day, Josh Hader closing out games. It's so much fun to imagine these things happening that at some point, like when people refer to the baseball season, they might say, oh yeah, this team's doing that, this team's doing this. And I'm going to look back at 2021 and say, yeah, remember the year that the Blue Jays won the East with Carlos Delgado and Willard Brown and Ernie Witt. And I like in my own mind, like this stuff is actually happening. And it's really fun for me. And I appreciate you saying that you enjoy it. Do you remember who brought you in, Stan? Was it me or was it?
It was you. I think I was walking down the street and you said, "Come here, buddy." No, it was you. And I think you joined my group and that's how you invited me to yours. And I'm thankful for that.
And
that's kind of the reason why we're here is because I don't think I would have found it otherwise unless you kind of brought me in. So hopefully people watching this will get the idea because it's tough. It's tough to like have people know about your group. And like I said, you can feel free anytime to come on here. But I do have a question about you saying Ty Cobb had Willie McGee stats. Is that how you do it? You do it by position, not batting order when you come up with these numbers?
Exactly. I do it by position because I don't create batting orders in the morning. I just create, the 1 through 9, like catcher, pitcher, this and that. So when I'm creating the narrative, if you will, and again, I'll use this example right now. I don't have the exact box score, but if for that Yankees game, obviously, if this mapped over in a Mets game and Piazza hit the 2 homers, but the catcher in that game was hitting 8th, obviously Piazza's not going to hit 8th for the Mets. Mm-hmm. So I don't share that piece of it. I just say, hey, Piazza hit 2 homers. If I didn't do it that way, I think it would be too difficult to map.
Because it wouldn't be the natural flow of the game then.
It wouldn't make any sense. So like basically what I do is I give the bullet points or the highlights and I'll say, okay, this guy homered, this guy had the RBIs, this guy struck out this many guys. It does create for some interesting results. Do you remember Jim Gantner from the 80s?
Yes.
Okay, so he went 4 straight years without hitting a home run, and then he hit 2 in like 6 weeks. Last year in the universe, he hit like 4 homers. So I tried to present them as like news. Like Jim Gantner homered in San Diego today. Remember Richie Ashburn?
Yes.
I think in his career he hit like 29 homers. He hit 16 last year in the universe. So I think that's an inch. I mean, again, you're not going to see things that rare because, you're not going to see like a catcher hit 80 homers because I'm mapping from results that actually happened. It would have to be such a coincidence that I'm pulling box scores where the catcher homered in 6 straight games. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to see guys hitting 70 homers because I'm pulling a lot of box scores from like the dead ball era. And sometimes you guys can tell, like if you're looking at my results, you can say, I don't see a save. I see like 2 homers. Oh, he pulled from 1911. Or you'll see like, some team goes off for like 18 hits, 7 homers. Oh yeah, he pulled from last week. So I try to like vary it so that we see all these different shapes and colors and sounds and try to celebrate the entire history of baseball and not just pull from like one particular era.
Okay, now you also said a lot of these games you'll do one a day on Xbox. How do you do that so it works on Xbox for you?
So the way I do that is I just, I mean, aesthetically, I just position my phone in front of the TV so that you can see, so that the only thing that the viewer sees is the game. And I actually just talked about this on my show yesterday. I would like at some point, let's say if I was doing a Mets Yankees game, I'd like to get a Mets fan and a Yankees fan on the screen that can react live to what I'm doing. I decide who I'm controlling by flipping a coin. So if I'm doing like yesterday, I did the Nationals Royals, and I was the Royals. So it's about a half-hour game. Um, Again, I think it would be a fun idea to have the viewer see the game being played out, and then see two fans of the actual teams do that. I try to do one a day, but for the last 3 or 4 weeks, I haven't done a Monday game because, well, today I'm not doing it because the Mets have a doubleheader against the Braves, and I really just want to watch that tonight. I don't know. It gives it kind of a three-dimensional feel. It kind of brings it to life. When I create the lineups for that, I'm pulling the lineups from the Utopian. So, when I say Ted Williams is up, you're not seeing Ted Williams in the game. You're just seeing a left-handed batter that plays left field. There are some times, because I don't control what the computer chooses for a lineup. So sometimes I'll say, well, Bryce Harper's up and it's a right-handed batter. I can't really control that unless I were to get a second player that can control that piece of it. But I feel like the Xbox streams are one of the most popular pieces of content within the group. It gets probably the most comments because I think people see it and they're like, oh, hey, this kind of looks cool. And I have some, like Sal Tortaglia will just hang out for a half hour. Greg Fokker will just hang out and comment. We do all of our postseason games, by the way, on Xbox because I love how we create the regular season, the randomness to it, but I want the postseason to be like memorable and not just me pop up and say, the Phillies won. I want them to like live it. So we did that last year. I uploaded about 6 or 10 of the postseason games to YouTube last year. We had some real thrillers. We do Wildcard Wednesday, so all 4 wildcard games are going to be on the same day. We're going to do noon, 3, 6, and 9. That's just a fun piece of it. It just kind of gives it a little bit of a different flavor.
Now, when you pick the players for these teams, now you said you have like players from the Negro Leagues and everything. Is it just what you think, on a whim you put it, or do you figure out how to fill out rosters per se?
Well, so for the talking about the Negro League players specifically, I looked at last year's results within the universe, and I kind of looked for weaknesses. So, like if a team needed a catcher, like Seattle had the lowest catching statistics in the universe last year, so I put Biz Mackey on the Mariners. Pittsburgh had one of the worst pitching staffs last year, so we drafted Smokey Joe Williams to Pittsburgh. So we just kind of like looked at rosters and see where holes needed to be filled. And then for like the top 8 players, we had a random lottery. So like Oscar Charleston went to the White Sox. Cool Papa Bell went to the Royals. The Royals were actually a division winner playoff team last year, but they got Cool Papa Bell. And now, ironically, they're in 8th place. So again, it's the randomness of it is what makes it fun. But Cool Papa Bell actually leads the universe in stolen bases. Oscar Charleston is amongst the league leaders in RBIs. I think he's in the top 10. But yeah, we just kind of look for need every year. And by the way, not every single Hall of Fame player is in the universe. And it's not that we're leaving them out, is that every year I'd like to bring in 2 or 3, almost as like a, free agent class or a draft class, if you will. Cy Young's not in the universe, but he will be in 2022. We're going to take the bottom 8 teams at the end of the year, and we're going to have, I don't know if we're going to do a vote or trivia, but one of those bottom 8 teams is getting Cy Young next year. I'm not going to announce what the theme is for 2022 yet. We're going to do that in the off season. This year was the Negro League Hall of Famers. Next year, we're going to have a theme to bring in an influx of new players. I'm actually really excited to announce that. That's going to be probably in early November that we'll announce that theme. And I might even need your help on that. But I'm excited to share that in the future.
That's great. That's great. Now maybe like a write-in vote for the fans. Maybe you can have the fans pick one player for a team, and I know you do the rest, but just get them involved somehow and pick a player out of like a pool of 5 or 6. So that would be interesting too to start up conversation too. Just my thought.
We actually did that in the preseason. So when we were doing our team preview shows, I would say, okay, you guys are going to choose the 5th starter for the Cubs. You guys are going to choose the closer for Cleveland.
I do remember that.
We did, I think, who's going to play first base for the Brewers on opening day, and it was Fielder and Cooper. So we try to keep it interactive. We try to do polls, and, I want to present something that the universe is interested in. So the universe is definitely going to have an input in the rosters for next year. I'm going to reach out to fans of each team and say, okay, from this current roster, who do we bring up? Like the kid from Tampa Bay, Wander Franco. He'll definitely be in the universe next year. Kalenic, the kid from Seattle, maybe we wait another year on him. I want to make sure that these guys, actually
are
established before we say, hey, they belong here with Babe Ruth and Henry Aaron and Willie Mays. But the future of the universe is going to be the current players. So at some point, we're going to run out of the, Josh Gibsons, the Pud Galvins, the Christy Mathewsons, even, the Jeters and the Frank Thomases. We're going to run out of those players from the past, and we're going to have to build this with the future of the game.
That's great. So what can we expect in, say, the coming week, the coming months for this year's Utopian Baseball Universe, as far as the season's concerned? Anything stand out highlight-wise or coming attractions?
Starting today, we have 21 straight division games. Every team in the universe is going to play every other team in their division between now and August 24th. Before they have 2 more weeks of non-division games at the end of August. And then they're going to finish the season with another round robin. So we've got 6 Yankees-Mets games coming up. We've got 6 Mets-Red Sox games coming up. Our Mets are not doing very well, but they're not out of it by any means. I believe they're 7 games out of a wild card right now. But they're, a good 14, 15 out of the division. But anything can happen. We've got trivia coming up Wednesday, and you are going to be a participant in that on Wednesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern.
Someone's got to finish last, Joey.
Come on. The guy that won it all last year lost last week, so anything can happen. It's 9 innings of trivia. Every participant will get 1 question per inning, and then the top 2 scorers will advance to the semifinals, and then the finals will be at the end of August. The winner of the tournament gets a $50 gift card. It's going to be live on Wednesday, live on Facebook, YouTube. That's actually a lot of fun because it's we just try to have fun with it. Like, we get some really ridiculous answers, or someone will say, like, I don't know, and I'll just say, you can't name like one pitcher. Like, all you have to do is try to name a pitcher. But it's a lot of fun. We're going to have a really fun group on Wednesday. Another good friend of mine, Tim St. Clair, another big Mets fan, is going to be playing. Brett Bamford, he was on our Tigers preview show in March. Jeff Turner, Jamie Howell, he's our Pittsburgh correspondent. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
So what time is that again? Not only for the audience, but make sure I'm there.
Oh, that's good. So it's going to be 9 Eastern.
Okay.
So that'll be 8 Central, and it usually goes about an hour or so.
Okay. If there's anything else you'd like to add, floor is yours.
So, if you're watching this and you're looking for a fun alternative, look for the Utopian Baseball Universe here on Facebook. We just hit 1,000 members over the past weekend. I'm also on Twitter at Utopian Baseball, YouTube, Utopian Baseball Universe. I even have a TikTok account, but I don't really use it that much. That's at Joey Parm. Stan, I want to ask you, you actually just hit a milestone recently. Do you want to talk about that within the group?
Well, according to you, I have 10,000 subscribers to the group. I still haven't looked at the number yet. I'm always afraid a few will drop out. But yeah, it just keeps building and building, and it's more and more interactive. And the one thing I do like about the group is it's very, how can I say it? When I say it's baseball way of life is naming a group, we have a lot of baseball way of lifers who really live for the game. And that's what makes the group fun. They love the knowledge that they provide to the group itself is amazing, and you'll learn a lot from the game just by participating and reading what everyone else has to say. And I just find it amazing that there are so many diehard baseball fans out there. So if you're one of them, feel free to join the group. And if you're watching this on the group site, I guess you're a member of the group, but in the YouTube world and Twitter, if you're out there, come on and join. And like I said, we have great people like Joey. And this is, I'm going to throw a concept out there, throw it out to the public, but if we could do this maybe once a week, or you can do a Utopian weekly recap in the beginning of the show, and then we could just talk baseball a little bit afterwards, that would be great. I didn't want to inundate everyone with baseball after this half hour or so we've done. Give them a break, let them do what they got to do. But if you just want to cap your highlights and tell us what's coming up, sort of like a weekly recap, I know you do daily recaps, but we can come on here and let everyone know what your weekly recap is. You pick the day of the week, whatever you want. And then we can just talk baseball because you're very knowledgeable. We're both Met fans, and we can do something like that if you like. If not, that's fine.
That sounds like a fun idea. Like, we can talk after the show. I think Mondays would be an ideal day because we obviously kick everything off on a Monday. So we can talk about that between now and next Monday. I would love to have that forum. I mean, it wouldn't be like, I'm not going to talk about every box score, but we can say, hey, these are the division winners. This is what's coming up. Maybe hit some highlights. But yeah, that would be great.
And I'm not sure how we can work it. I'm not sure if we could have it on both sites at the same time, but one week I could do it on mine, one week we could do it on yours, and we can get something up there. Then we can just talk about the hot topics of baseball in general for the week, or whatever is like the hot topic or whatever. So
yeah,
it's something I thought about before we did this, and I said, that would be a good idea. So hopefully you'll be on board. And like I said, we could talk about it. We got a week or so to go, so we could do it same time, same bad channel if you want, if it works for you.
Yeah, perfect. Because there's a lot of MLB stuff that I'd like to talk about at some point, like this whole. I don't know. Did you see the story about the Los Angeles Angels, the minor league system?
Yes. Oh, yeah. They're treated like slaves. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like that at all. There's definitely money there to be spent to make sure that the game is protected for the next, 100 years or so. So, yeah, I'm never going to say no to a baseball conversation. And if we want to do it in front of, 10,000 people, let's do it.
Yeah. What I was going to say was on my YouTube broadcast, what I usually do is I take one of the hot topics in the group, like the other day, I could take whatever topic it is, say the Guardians name change, and read everyone's comments and form my own ideas. And usually I'm not opinionated on that on the group itself, but on these YouTube broadcasts, I kind of go off. So you get my opinions on that. And so I'd like to do the same thing. So it'll be an open forum where you could just let off some steam when you come on. And I think that would be great.
Perfect.
I think me and you are on the same page. It's not necessarily a good thing, but we're on the same page on a lot of things. So it would be fun, I think.
I definitely agree. Now, Stan, I did promise you that we would get you a Mets result today. So I'm not going to give all the.
Oh, yeah. I forgot all about that. Yeah.
But I've got the games here. So what I want you to do, Stan, is I'm going to have you give me a number between 1 and 10, and that number is going to be the result of the Mets game. I'm just going to share the score and who won, and then tonight, when I do my recap about, I'll probably do it in between the two doubleheader games tonight. The whole universe can then read details about the game. But let's hear a number between 1 and 10, and I'll give you a result here.
Well, my lucky number has always been 7. I was born in the 7th month of the year. July 25th, 25 equals 7, and 61, 61 equals 7. So we'll roll at 7.
All right, 7. So basically what I'm doing is I have numbers assigned to every result from July 25th, 1961. The 7th result is going to be the Mets game, and then everything else is going to fall into place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. So unfortunately for Mets fans, this results in a 3-2 loss to the Orioles.
I'm at number 6.
So again, you'll find out tonight. But the Mets lose today to the Orioles 3-2. Check back tonight in the Utopian Baseball Universe to find out more about that. Again, we got Mets and Orioles tonight, Yankees at Nationals, Brewers at Reds, Twins at Indians, Mariners at Rockies, Padres and Diamondbacks, the Durham Bulls versus the Kansas City Royals, and ABC Monday Night Baseball, Al Michaels and Tim McCarver. We've got Atlanta Braves at St. Louis Cardinals, Kid Nichols.
Oh my goodness.
Carpenter. It's going to be a great one in ABC.
When I say player, I get people saying, "Who's Kid Nichols?" Then I get guys who say, "You mean you don't know who Kid Nichols is? He's probably one of the greatest pitchers of all time." So if you want to see Kid Nichols, see what he does tonight, check him out on Joey's site. Kid Nichols was one of a kind. And I learned about him through the group members, so that's why you got to join the group too. But Joey, it's been a pleasure. And like I said, hopefully we can do this on a regular basis if you like, maybe once a week or so. And I do highly recommend your site. It's fun, very imaginative. If you love baseball, it's another outlet for you to express your feelings and follow what Joey has to offer. He's a good guy. He's a funny guy. I see him on the YouTube stuff he does, and just look at him makes me laugh. No, I'm only kidding. No, but he's very funny and he's very witty. That's what I like about him. So not only does he give you the results, he gives it to you with flavor. And I do appreciate it when I get the chance to check it out. And like I said, he does other things too. Your trivia contest on Wednesday at 9 o'clock on your site. Check it out. And hopefully you'll be seeing more of this guy on this site. And I'll be on his site too. So I guess that'll wrap it up. Hopefully that was a good introduction to Joey's world. It's a great world. Be part of it. Join his group. Joey,
I appreciate it, Sam. Thanks.
Have a great day.
Having me, and I look forward to being on again in the future.
Sounds good. Thanks, Joey.
All right. Take care.